Good afternoon. On behalf of the Schettinger family and our associates, I would like to welcome everyone joining us today. I'd also like to invite you that if you have your microphone on your laptop, on your computer at home, if you would please mute that at this time. Thank you for helping us out in that way. My name is Mark Detmer, and I have the sacred honor of serving families as a life celebrant here at Schettinger. Also assisting in our service is a team of devoted and compassionate caregivers who serve individuals and families through end-of-life support and care. In the order they will participate in our service is Dale Boston, who serves as chaplain with Capital City Hospice, Kristen Newland, who serves as chaplain at ViaQuest Hospice, Michael Schettinger, president of Schettinger Funeral and Cremation Service, and Mark Hensley, hospice bereavement service manager with Vitas Healthcare. The theme of our service is In This Together. There's a common story that unites all of us today. You've lost your loved one, either with or as a direct result of the COVID-19 virus. And for most families, your loss came swiftly with little warning. During your loved one's illness, as well as planning their service, our country was locked down. And grief was added to grief because of separation. At a time when the need for human connection, physical touch, and coming together was so critical, you were isolated from one another. Because of this loss of human connection, our goal in this service is to bring us together. We may not be able to be together and comfort one another in person, but we can unite in spirit in one place. And our prayer is you find this virtual service is still a better option than not coming together at all. Before we go further, in honor of your loved one, I would like you to join with me in your home in lighting a candle. As you do so, I will be lighting one here. I'm going to pause for just a few moments to give you an opportunity to do so. If you are unable to light a candle, please allow this one to represent your loved one. And as you watch the candle burn, may it remind you the spirit of your loved one has not been extinguished. Their life lives on in the presence of God, and there is a place in your heart where their memory is held in sacred trust. It's a hallowed place, and I encourage you to visit it often, for there you can find healing. At this time, I welcome Chaplain Dale Boston, after which we will enjoy the music of Josh Groban's You Raise Me Up, to be followed by a prayer by Chaplain Kristen Newland.
Thank you for allowing me to spend a brief moment with you today. I am always the invited guest, and it is a sacred honor to remember and reflect with you. Poets, novelists, musicians, artists in every generation have asked this question: why does love hurt? C.S. Lewis answered the question like this: there is no safe investment. To love is to be vulnerable. To love is to take a risk. Your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. I believe he is correct. The deeper your love, the greater your risk. We have shared life. We laughed together. We cried together. Sometimes we fought together. But we always got to do it together, and we loved, and it hurts. It hurts because we took that risk. Why does love hurt? Because it is love. And we draw nearer to God, not by avoiding the risk and not by avoiding love. We draw nearer by accepting the risk, giving the love. We threw away our defenses and we embraced each other openly, and our hearts were shattered. Dearly beloved, God specializes in putting together the broken pieces of that which is shattered. Grace for your journey. I don't know where your road will go, but I promise you, in the name of Jesus Christ, you do not walk it alone. Amen.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burdened be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Please join me in prayer. Dear God, we thank you for this time of reflection and gathering where we can show honor to our loved ones who have passed. We ask for you to be near to us as we grieve and comfort us as we mourn. Give us the strength to move forward and fill us with peace. Amen.
Grief overload. It's the term healthcare professionals use to describe what many people are experiencing as a result of the pandemic and the measures necessary taken for public safety. It's a condition brought on by undergoing some form of loss. And before we can adequately process that loss, we suffer another and another until we reach a point of emotional overload. And perhaps even now, you are nodding your head in agreement and saying, that describes me. Amid overwhelming grief, grief compounded by grief, where are we to find direction? The Serenity Prayer, a prayer most of us are at least passingly familiar, is a good place to go for assistance in guiding our thoughts. It begins, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. For healing to take place, we must accept there are things we cannot change, and that begins with the passing of our loved one. But also the presence of COVID in our world and the pain that it has brought to your family. It's all too easy to imagine ways things did not have to happen, our minds envisioning all sorts of scenarios. It's a normal response. But these sustained protests are not helpful, nor serve us well in our journey of healing. They merely hold us back while lashing us to past hurts and only serve to sidetrack and derail us. While your time with your loved one was not what you would have wished for in the final days and weeks, you were powerless to do anything about it. On the day you remembered your loved one, you did the best you could with the ceremony that was permissible at the time. Was it what you wanted? Of course not. But it's what was possible, and you did your best. I want to encourage you, my friend, do not allow yourself to be burdened by false guilt over things you were powerless to change. Otherwise, they may deny you the very ability to fully grieve or hold your grief in limbo. You did your best. And so if your heart is carrying this burden, I give you permission to be free of it. The next phrase of our prayer asks us to muster courage and wisdom, the courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Wisdom is the first thing I notice. How do we know the difference between what we can change and what we cannot? I believe it can be discovered in a simple two-word phrase, if only. When you think of the pain you have experienced, and you begin with the words, if only, that's something you were powerless to change. If only speaks to what we wish things could have been, not something we had the power to affect. The other phrase, courage to change the things I can. While there are many practical day-to-day things we can do for our healing journey, one of the most courageous is to simply make the decision to start. The valley of the shadow of death is a place we pass through, not establish permanent residence. The Tom Edwards family did this. Schettinger had the honor of serving Tom's family as they have your family. Let me share Tom's story in brief because I believe many of us can find a place in it. Tom was denied the opportunity to be with his wife, Marilyn, whom you have seen here displayed on the screen beside me. It was during her final months that this separation came. Marilyn was a lovely lady with a radiant smile whose welcoming and warm spirit you could not escape, especially at Christmas. And by those who had experienced Marilyn in Tom's home at Christmas, it was described as magical. Marilyn was active at her place of worship and participated in the bell choir and is remembered as a talented musician. For 52 years, Marilyn knew the loving devotion of her husband, Tom, as well as that of her 2 children, along with 3 other family members who knew her as Nana. And then came the painful day. Marilyn had to be admitted into a rehab and care facility. Initially, the family could visit and be together, and then COVID struck. The facility was locked down, and the family was not allowed in during the closing months of Marilyn's life. And then she personally contracted COVID. Marilyn fought bravely, but her weakened body could not resist the force of the disease, and on May 24th, God received Marilyn into his loving care. Tom and the family were in unspeakable pain. But Tom chose to take an active step towards healing, to change the things that he could. And he wrote a final letter to his bride that began, I am saddened by the fact I was not by your side during your final time on earth. I would have held your hand and encouraged you to continue your fight against the disease that had taken control of your body, like the time you overcame your battle with pneumonia. In these words, we find beautiful affirmation of Tom's love for his wife. COVID protocols may have kept them physically apart, but Tom reminds Marilyn that his love was always present, even when he could not be. Nothing could change that. You see, Tom had promised his bride 52 years ago that he would love and he would cherish, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, and he did. COVID could separate their bodies, but it could not ever separate the 2 hearts that became one on that day. Tom's letter affirms and focuses his mind as he moves forward on the inseparable love they shared. What thing can you do? What change can you make to positively impact the direction your healing will take? Change what is within your power. The other courageous step we need to consider is being intentional to remember the journey, not how it ended. Your years together need not be defined by the final few months of life. Tom does this also in his letter. He recounts driving to California on their honeymoon, the numerous places he and Marilyn have traveled, and credits her for their vital role in raising their children. He speaks of their 3 beautiful grandchildren that loved to see their Nana. In doing this, Tom did not allow the final months to define 52 years. He chose, rather, to remember the journey. My friends, how things ended cannot steal the years, the memories, and the joys that you've been given. When your mind is overrun with thoughts of those final days, treat them like the unwanted guests they are and muster the courage to show them out. And then refocus your thoughts on the delights you have shared together through the years. Lastly, our prayer affirms living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time. Today, the emotional battle of overcoming the pain of not being present with your loved one during their time of greatest need is perhaps the most soul-wrenching experience in your life, and you don't anticipate anything will exceed it. Grief and mourning are appropriate responses in a time of loss. It can even be a form of honoring your loved one because it's a reflection of the depth of the love that you shared, as Mr. Boston so well reminded us just a moment ago. But as time goes on, what honors your loved one's life is not more grief, but life. And I believe your loved one desires life for you. And just around the corner is Christmas. It's a time of year that's filled with traditions. And perhaps you've already begun thinking about what Christmas is going to look like for your family as you look at the stores around town. I'm confident your loved one would want you to do all you can to make it special for your family. Don't be afraid to open the window of your heart and let some Christmas cheer inside. It's okay to be happy again. And dare I be so bold as to suggest your loved one would wish you a Merry Christmas? Is it going to be the same? Certainly not, nor do you expect it to be. But that does not mean it cannot be Christmas and that it can't be good. Start some new traditions for the grandkids. Don't dread Christmas. Use it as an opportunity for healing and for coming together. I encourage you to find ways to capture the simple joys that each day offers. And with each one, allow the windows of your heart to be opened a little wider and give joy permission to sneak in. I leave us with this. Sometimes we speak of seeking closure, and I understand what people mean when they say that. But I'm not sure that's a helpful term. Can I suggest rather seek reconciliation? Closure suggests something that comes to an end, like closing the back cover on a book you've just finished. But you cannot do that with someone you love because their story lives on in you. It's not the closing of their story, but the beginning in the next chapter of their life. You are part of their story and their legacy. The story of your loved one's life will never be closed. It goes on being written through you because you accepted what you could not change. You courageously changed what you could, and you determined going forward to find the simple blessings of life that is offered to you each day. Now, my friends, go and write the story and make it a good one. Your loved one will be honored as you do. At this time, Michael Schettinger has a few thoughts he would like to share.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for joining us. We are so grateful for your presence, whether you're watching us live or whether you're watching this recorded hours or days later. We're so thankful that you are joining us. I'm especially grateful for your giving us the opportunity to serve you. Thank you for the wonderful care that our staff provides, especially today, the people that have put this together, Jen, Mary Jo, Brooke, Julie, lots of people, Mark, that have made this production what it is today. And it's our first time doing this, so we're very thankful that we're able to do this. What has been a frustrating year for many of us, you and us and many others, because of this COVID. And one of the things that has been a struggle for us is funeral directors are caregivers. And we know that funerals bring together people who care about each other in an atmosphere of love and support. And we love having those public community events where everyone can come and support those that have had a loss. And this year it's been a challenge to do that. A lot of our services and ceremonies have been smaller. They either haven't occurred yet and are going to occur in the future. When we do gather, the one thing we love to do is give each other a handshake, a hug, just some form of touch to let you know that we're there to support you. And this year we haven't been able to do that. And I know that's been especially challenging for me and a lot of our caregiving coworkers here. So I encourage you, as you think about the future, especially those of you that have delayed a ceremony to honor the life of your loved one, that you would still make it a priority to have that ceremony, that even though it feels like the death may have been a long time ago, it's important not just for you, but for all the others that were touched by that death, to still have that opportunity to honor that life, remember that life, celebrate that life, and most importantly, support you. So I hope you'll consider doing that. Now I'd like to welcome Mark Hensley from Vitas Hospice.
As stated previously by others in so many ways, that in moving forward in the COVID-19 environment remains critical for all of us to seek emotional and spiritual connections. The most important conversation is the conversation you will have with yourself. We urge you to remember the sweet, the beauty of what was, so dear, so precious, so meaningful, so life-giving. Think about what is still possible for the future, then believe it to be true. Only then will you be convinced. As we prepare to conclude this service, we invite you to consider this meditation. Barely the day started, and it is already 6 p.m. Barely arrived on Monday, and it's already Friday. And the month is already over. And the year is almost over. And it's almost Christmas again. And already 20, 30, 40, 50, or 60 years of our lives have passed. And we realize that we lost our parents, friends, brother, sister, husband, wife. And we realize it's too late to go back. So let's try, despite everything, to enjoy the remaining time. Let's keep looking for activities that we like. Let's put some color in our gray. Let's smile at the little things in life that make our hearts sing. And despite everything, we must continue to enjoy with serenity this time we have left. Let's try to eliminate the afters. I'm doing it after. I'll say it after. I'll go there after. I'll think about it after. We leave everything for later, like after is ours. Because what we don't understand is that after isn't promised to any of us. After isn't promised to any of us because afterwards the coffee gets cold. Afterwards, priorities change. Afterwards, the charm is broken. Afterwards, health passes. Afterwards, the kids grow up. Afterwards, parents grow old. Afterwards, promises are forgotten. Afterwards, the day becomes night. Afterwards, the people that matter the most aren't there anymore. Afterwards, life ends. And then it's often too late. So let's leave nothing for later. Because while we are waiting for later, we can lose the best moments, the best experiences, the best friends, the best family. Today is the day. The moment is now. There'll never be a better time, so why wait? We are no longer at the age where we can afford to postpone what needs to be done right away. After. We wish every good thing upon you as we continue our journey in this year and the next. While we may venture to the unknown, we do so knowing we hold the hand of our dearly departed. As the eternal conscience has led us in the past, so will this same conscience do in the days to come. From the employees and related families of Vitas Healthcare, Capital City Hospice, ViaQuest, Hospice of Central Ohio, and our very own Shediger Funeral Home, we will continue to offer our support in days to come. This concludes our service.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm, is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. Sweet, sweet song.